Here's the burning question that everyone wants to know. How do you scale up a business? How do you start? How do you scale? And how do you grow this thing? Now, it's all well and good to grow a business, but it has to exist first. So you can't scale a business that doesn't exist. Here's how you would scale a business that does exist, and you might have a brand already, and you want to know how to scale this thing. So let's walk through all the components of scale. Now, we're going to dive into this. I like to talk about the loop theory. So, when you're doing a business, I think it should follow a certain sequence of bigger and bigger loops. And every loop I like to look at as a cycle of you doing one thing and learning from it and then implementing the next thing. So, let's say you've started a brand and you spent 5K. And this loop here was now you're spending 10K on stock. This loop, now you're spending 20K on stock. This loop, now you're spending 40K on stock, and it goes up and up and up and up. That's how a business grows. There's never, ever, ever, ever one day where the business kicks off and goes through the roof and you go, wow, that was overnight. Never, ever, ever happens. Not once, not ever. Why? You can't sell $1 million without, 300 grand worth of stock. Are you going to spend 300 grand on stock? No. So you're not going to hit $1 million business. That's exactly how it works. So you need to figure out, if you want to scale, you need to learn on what you're doing and implement and do bigger and bigger and bigger each time and learn to sell. It's just learning to sell. And it all comes down to the mathematics of it. So business is maths. You need to figure out the right maths for your business so you can gradually increase that loop size. So all we're looking at now is revenue that comes in. So let's say we're working on a month basis, right? Over the course of a month in your Shopify store. All the revenue that comes in, let's say 100K. Then you've got fixed costs that come out of that. So are you paying for a warehouse? Are you paying for a car? Are you paying for phones or subscriptions and all that kind of stuff? That's all your fixed costs that come out of that. So take away your fixed costs. Then you've got variable costs. So these are the costs that change with every single order. So you might have packaging, handling, shipping. Let's say you have a warehouse that handles every time they touch something, they charge you 60 cents. That's kind of normal. You've got all these costs that change depending on the scale of orders, the amount of orders. So that's usually worked out as a percentage. So variable costs come out and they might be 30% or something. But let's say, that includes your product cost, your variable cost, because the more you sell, the more products you've had to buy. So your variable costs are sucked into that. Fixed costs are, they're fixed. They don't change over the month. Marketing costs can change, but usually that might be broken down as a percentage over the month as well. So you might spend 30% of that on marketing. And then whatever's left over is profit. Now, you can scale up a business if you're profitable. You can just do more of what you're already doing and you're going to scale up. A normal e-com business is left with about 20% profit margin. That's if it's successful. It's working. And there's also the outliers too. Some have a really, really low cost of goods, really low product cost of goods, we call it COGS. And therefore their profit margin might be 30% or 40%, rarely, but it doesn't happen. Oops, 400. It doesn't happen too often. So what we're looking at is, okay, we do have marketing costs, we do have variable costs, we do have fixed costs. If you want to grow the business, maybe you need to spend more on ads. You need to market more, or you need to do more of what's already working. Maybe you're not marketing at all and you're just doing organic YouTube videos because you're so good at YouTube, let's say. Well, then you need to do more of that. And your variable costs your marketing costs will be lower. If you're spending money on ads, your marketing costs will be higher, and you might need to spend more and more on ads to get more and more profit, more and more revenue, more and more profit. You're buying more stock, you're growing like that. It's a pretty simple sort of equation, but it helps you understand that there's no one day that it just pops. It's all about continuous growth over a long period of time, and that's what allows you to scale up a business. So one thing that a lot of brands don't take into account is the leaky bucket. This is a very, very common business analogy, and it's basically saying that people don't understand that they have a leaky bucket all the time in their business. So whatever you're putting in, there's going to be things that leak out and don't make any sense. And you might go, what's happening? Why am I not profitable? You're spending money in, you're putting money on ads, you're putting money into stock, you're putting money into all sorts of things, and you're getting some money back, but it's always just dripping out. And this is the leaky bucket. And it's about closing up these holes in the bucket. The more you close up, the money will go in and profit will come out. And you'll be left with a profitable business. Now, how do you stop this happening? It could be all sorts of things. It could be your fixed costs are too high, your variable costs are too high, your product cost is too high. Something is wrong in the business that's causing it to struggle. So when you're scaling up, you need to constantly fix and plug these holes. Okay, I need to fix this problem, I need to fix this problem, I need to fix this problem. You're constantly fixing problems in the business so you can make profit. And the problems get bigger as the business gets bigger, and the holes get bigger in the bucket. There's always a problem to fix, but that's kind of the fun part of business, right? You're fixing mini problems and you're growing, and that's how you can scale it up, by constantly fixing these problems. So I always say, create something great, market it well, and build community. If you can do those things, you're going to be on the way to a really, really good business. And we do that in a few ways. So we have this model here called the profitable launch model. And for new brands, it's great. For existing brands, it's even better, because what we're doing is figuring out, do you still have meaning and impact in your business? And profit becomes a byproduct. So without meaning or impact, you won't make profit, I don't think. That's my opinion, but you want to impact the community. You want people to really love your product. That's the impact. And then the meaning comes from, why are you doing this thing in the first place? And do you have good core values? What's the product about? It all kind of relates together, and the meaning relates to the manufacturing and the product, and the impact relates to the market and the product. How do they feel about what you've made? So that's super important. Now, I know that was about scaling, but the whole thing is about understanding what you're doing as a business, learning as you go, and continually getting better and better and better. So if you're interested in the Kickstarter program for a new brand, or the mastermind for an existing one, you can click on the 2 buttons below, and hopefully see you guys on the outside.